packed the dogs and bikes up and took her to the general practitioner who referred her to the hospital, and he came home. All good. Around a week after this, one of the guys he rides with sent him a screenshot of a post in a Facebook group that was made for people specifically who build and maintain the bike trails. It went something like, "I'm looking for someone called, insert husband's name here, who helped me last week when I fell and got me to the hospital. He drove a husband's truck and had 3 dogs, then listed our dogs' names." She had posted in a few groups before being linked to the group for the trail builders, who my husband goes out there with. My husband isn't on social media, so he said he could send her his number. She texted him to double check she had the right person. He said it was and that he was glad she was feeling better and he was happy to help. She offered him money or to take him for lunch, which he declined, and just said again that he was happy to help. They text back and forth every now and then, her initiating, and it's mostly, "Hey, how are you? Hope you're well," etc., until she starts getting better and can ride again. Then it turns into, "Hey, we should hit the trails sometime." Now, without tooting his horn for him, he's very good. He used to ride competitively when he was younger, same with much of the guys he rides with. Most people at the park know who they are, and generally if they hear them coming, we'll just get to the side and watch them pass. He tries to decline her offer in a way not to offend her, but there's no way she can keep up with them. There's a section that's just big jumps to practice on. He says maybe next time he's on those he'll give her a shout and they can meet up there. Eventually that happens and he gives her a few tips, which then turns into her texting him more often about biking, asking for him to tutor her, and just general stuff. This goes on for the next couple months. There seems to be a friendship starting. I've never once had any concerns about this and was quite happy for him to continue, and they do. So yesterday, Monday, he went out with the dogs and bumped into her. Said they spoke for a while and went a cycle with the dogs to wind down before he came home. She started texting him when he got home, and I can see these messages coming through the iPad as I was using it. To be clear, he's not hiding the texts. He openly leaves his phone lying around, no passcode. Lets our daughter play on it. Happy for me to use it. Doesn't get weird or secretive about it in the slightest. He knows the iPad and laptop are linked to his phone and it can all be seen by anyone using them. He has never gave me cause for concern. It's her intentions I'm not too sure on at this point. So anyway, the dogs. We have 3 working gun dogs used in the fields regularly, and while they can look like they're running riot down these trails, they are extremely well trained and tuned into whatever my husband is doing. Which becomes more apparent when he's not on the trails, and they're following, watching his every move. These texts started on about the dogs for a bit when she sent a text which ended in the following, like a slave looking to please their master, with a smirking emoji. Admittedly, I don't care for emojis and the texting garbage people use nowadays. I don't even know what the smirking face means, frankly. But something about this made me feel icky, and I feel like there's an undertone going on here. He replied, but seemed to ignore that last comment. However, this caused me to think and look back on her communication, and feel like I've noticed a few red flags. 1. She always initiates. 2. If she doesn't get a reply, she seems to keep sending messages until he replies. 3. Not once has she ever referenced or acknowledged the fact that he's married or has a family. Even when he mentioned that he's been away for my birthday, or that he's going to our daughter's dancing show, she'll change the subject as if she's pretending we don't exist, or to close down any mention of us. 4. She often makes excuses for them to meet up, one-on-one. I'm sure there's more, but I don't want to scour through every message and feed into this more than I already have in case it's nothing. But am I crazy for thinking there may be something going on with her? I don't want to bring it up in case it is nothing and I look like I'm being paranoid. It just isn't sitting right. I'm also pregnant, and the hormones are doing their thing. Should I say something? Or leave it and monitor this more closely for a bit? Or is this the effect of a 30-year-old something pregnant mom whose husband seems to be aging like a fine wine, and any female he meets doing what he loves, being in amazing shape due to the hobby? Update. So, my last post got a lot more responses than I thought it would get. I wasn't going to post an update, but feel like I owe it to all the people telling me to trust my gut. For those asking why my husband hadn't been more abrupt with her, in a nutshell, he always tries to keep the peace. I downplayed how well known he is in our town. He comes from a well-known family in our area, and was a downhill rider in the UCI and features in various YouTube channels. People come here specifically for the bike trails, and typically wherever he goes, there's usually a handful of people who recognize him and want to say hello. It's not a huge town, everyone knows everyone kind of place, and, like anyone, he would never want people to come away from any interaction with him with a sour taste in their mouth. After our daughter was in bed, I spoke with my husband, told him my thoughts, and he agreed she was being inappropriate, and that he in no way done or said anything that would indicate he was all right with it. He hoped by ignoring it she would get the hint and leave him be. He didn't want to make things awkward or embarrass anyone and admitted he probably should have said something. So after reading everyone's comments, there were loads of amazing ways people suggested shutting her down, which in hindsight, would have been an amazing way to stop her in her tracks. However, he didn't want to ruffle feathers, so we went with we're starting to get ready for the baby and have lots to do and prepare and simply don't have the time or energy to be spent on the bikes or meetups, and he will be unavailable to her for the foreseeable suggestions. He typed it up, handed it to me for my approval, and I hit send. Minutes later his phone pings. I'm in the kitchen. He's in the living room, and I see his eyebrows raise and he just looks at me. I go over and he just hands me the phone. The neck on this girl astounds me. She replied, "Okay, do you think we could meet up quickly tomorrow?" My heart sank. And I knew exactly what that meant. I burst into tears. In my head, this was the start of my world crumbling. My husband tried calming me down and asked me what I'd like him to do, block her there and then, or ask what she wants to see him for. I wish I just told him to block her, but for some reason I wanted to know more. He replied asking what meeting up would achieve.